Okay, it looks like we are finally live. So let me go back over to my email. I just sent out an email saying that we were experiencing some technical difficulties. I was waiting like 5 minutes for the chat to start, and so I said, nuts to this, I'll just begin again. And so I did, and that's when I sent out the email. So let me say, yes, we are live now. So let's say we are live now. Are live now. And I'll send in a link to the chat, to my channel. Okay, hold on, folks. Let's see here. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Okay, hold on. Ian Patrick Q, YouTube. There we go. There we go. All right, copy and paste. Okay, hold on just a sec, folks. All right, yes, we are live right now. Yes, we are live right now. All right. Okay, so we got that going on there. Anyone in the chat yet? Anyone here? So we got 2 people so far. Do we? Are they students of ours, or are these bots? I think you might have noticed that we were getting some rather dubious people showing up in our chat last time, including a someone using a Pepe the Frog icon, and that is never encouraging. Hello there, Alex. Good to see you. How are you doing? I hope you're doing all right. Say, hope everyone is doing well. All 2 people so far. We got anyone else in here? We got 3 people. Very nice. Okay, so my apologies for the absence of videos and lectures yesterday. It was just one of those days. You know, I got very, very little sleep the night before. I woke up feeling it was a very odd feeling. It is kind of like the feeling one sometimes gets when one is sleep deprived. You know, your head is very, very foggy. It's a very similar feeling to when you have the flu or a fever. And I kept shaking my head and says, "Oh dear, I hope I'm not sick with a fever." But no, I wasn't running a temperature or anything. I was just sleep deprived, and I was so groggy and unable to kind of like think straight that I entirely forgot to get breakfast, and so I didn't eat anything until about lunch, and that's when I tried grating some cheese to make a delicious grilled cheese and turkey and bacon sandwich, and nearly took my thumb off with the cheese grater. So that was when I said, "That's it. I'll take a personal day and push things off until Friday." So I'm here to chat, and I am looking forward to getting caught up with you guys. So hope everyone is doing well. So let me know how you're doing. We had 4 people, now we have 3, and no, we got 4 again. Very nice. So if anyone wants to jump in and say how they're doing, or say hello, or say they're here, that'll be very, very, very good for the chat, just to get things going here. Okay, so what's on the agenda? When we come back on Tuesday, when I say we come back, I mean, so just when we're kind of like scheduled for the next round of sending things out, there will be a quiz for critical thinking and a quiz for ethics this coming Tuesday. So that will be May the 5th. So after May the 4th, be with you, we will have a quiz. Okay, and the quiz for critical thinking will be covering the fallacies that we've been doing since midterm, and for the ethics class, it will be on Kant's philosophy of ethics. Gabriel's here. Excellent. Hello there, Professor. I'm here. Hello there, Gabriel. I hope you're doing all right. Let us know how you're doing. Okay, so let's see here. Alex, I know that you are in my ethics course. Do you have any questions regarding Kant or regarding anything else to do with ethics? Okay. Let's probably get some more people in here. I know. Okay, Gabriel's doing fine. Very good. I'm glad you're doing fine, Gabriel. Okay. And Gabriel, if you have any questions regarding the fallacies that we've been going over, we just recently did some non-fallacies. We did modus ponens and modus tollens in order to prepare us for doing some fallacies that I will be sending out today after the stream. Tim is here. Hello there, Tim. Good to see you. Say, how are you doing, Tim? Let us know how you're doing. And if you have any questions or comments regarding Kant's philosophy, that's what I'm here to do. And to provide any kind of feedback that I can about it. Okay, and if anyone has any questions about, say, the remainder of the course too, about, say, the upcoming, about the projects, about, say, the group project for critical thinking, or the philosopher of ethics project for the ethics class, please do let me know. Okay. Alex asks, will reviewing the lectures sent out help with studying for the ethics quiz? Yes, pretty much everything that you would need for the ethics quiz will be found in the lectures. And I would recommend, excuse me, I would recommend looking at both the video lectures as well as the written lectures. Just kind of like help things along. You know, Kant is a tough guy, so, and I never know whether I explain him that well. I love lecturing on Kant, but I never know whether I'm doing that great of a job on it. So any which way in which you can get a good understanding of how Kant is supposed to be applied to the questions of ethics for our class, you should utilize that. And so I would say do both the video version and the written version to study for the quiz, and also look at the streams. Look at the live streams that we've been doing. Okay, Gabriel says I don't have no questions. Okay, well, if anything comes up, Gabriel, please be sure to ask. Everyone doing okay with their group project? Alex, I know that you said that you were having difficulty getting in touch with your group. I told you to send. I don't know if you sent me an email about that yet. Oh, here's the thing. I've been having a good deal of difficulty getting into my Fullerton email account. How's that been for people? Say with the last couple of days, I've been trying to go in there to check on my messages, and the damn thing just doesn't load. It did so once, and I tried. I answered a few emails in there, but say it was very, very slow, and then it said that you know, it can't access the site. So is anyone else having difficulty getting at the Outlook, the Fullerton College web email? It's been problematic for me over at my end. But anyway, Alex, if please do let me know, if you haven't already, whether you are experiencing difficulties with your group for the group project. I will be sending a reminder out to everyone that we are still doing that, and that people do need to get in touch with me ASAP if they are experiencing any trouble. Oh, Alex says, after the stream, we were able to get in touch. All good. Ah, very good. Here, let me. There you go. Say, you know, for what remains my thumb, say, you know, I'll give you a thumbs up. Hello there, Dr. McHugh. Hello, Dr. McHugh. Hello there, Kenneth. Hello, how are you doing, Kenneth? How are you doing? We're now into a new month. We're now in the month of May. Say it is May 1st. That is my mother's birthday today. So naturally, I got to get my mother a call and wish her a happy birthday. Say it's also a day of celebrating the workforce. So for all of you out there, amongst my students, families and friends and whatnot who are working right now, you're working, in a situation that we were never quite prepared for. But people, by and large, are doing a splendid job. I think that they have ready themselves for the situation, and they are meeting it on the whole quite splendidly. I think we are really really doing a very good job of this, despite a minority of people out there in the streets saying that this is wrong, that we should be doing this. I should be allowed to go get a haircut. Apart from those people, say by and large, we are doing all right. Tim says, doing well, caught up on the lecture notes. It's crazy that there's only a few weeks left in the semester. It is crazy. I think that, say, the next couple of lectures, say the lecture I'm going to be sending out today and the one I'll be sending out on Tuesday, will be the last lectures that we will have for Kant, and then we'll do Aristotelian ethics. And I was hoping that we would do some existentialist ethics as well, say the great existentialist philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir. But we might not have time for that. I will see if we can squeeze some in right there, because I think that they do set up a important and very interesting alternative when it comes to, say, some of the things that we've been dealing with in the Kant lectures, particularly when we're talking about, say, personal responsibility and freedom. That is something that the existentialists are all about. But as you'll see in today's lectures, say when I send them out today, that there is something in Kant's ethics about punishment that the existentialists probably, by and large, not every existentialist has the same existentialist philosophy, but some of the most famous figures like Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir will wholeheartedly reject. And that's the idea that we need to keep an idea in mind that there is an afterlife to fulfill our sense of moral duty and obligation. That is something that's in Kant's ethics, but it's not there in the existentialist ethics of Simone de Beauvoir and Jean-Paul Sartre, particularly Beauvoir and Sartre. There are, like I said, many other different kinds of existentialists out there. But we might not be able to get to them. We might only be doing What Remains of Kant. Got 2 more lectures on Kant, and then moving on into Aristotle and just concluding with Aristotle's ethics of virtue. Virtue ethics might be our last big unit in ethics. Okay. All right. Let's see if anything else has come up in the... Yes, I agree with you, Alex. So those people are out there, demanding things go back to normal. Even though we can't make things just go back to normal. Things can't go back to normal right now because, assuming that we just did open up all the businesses again, open up the beaches again, say. What that will mean is that there will be an increase, say a great increase in volume of coronavirus cases, and that is going to be, say, something that is not going to be normal for people who have to deal with the problem in hospitals, say, and also. In the family life of those people, say they are now going to have to deal with, an elderly person or a person with a compromised immune system, or even a very young person who won't be able to handle the virus, and so things won't be going back to normal for them. Things will be going into into a situation that they did not reckon on. Apparently, they apparently didn't think that they would be getting it, or that it would not affect them. One of the leaders of the Open Up America protests in North Carolina or South Carolina, it was one of the Carolinas. She was recently arrested, and they found out that she also tested positive for the coronavirus. So it's gathering together in groups like this, that would be the consequences of it. That it would come back around and bite these people. So that's why we're doing it, not only for the sake of people who agree with the policy, but also for the people who don't like it. We're trying to protect them as well. They, like anyone else here, is a citizen of this country and deserves all due consideration and all rights that are available to them to the Constitution, which includes, say, their right to safety. And so we've got to guarantee these things as best we can. Let's see here. Kenneth says, "Hello, Dr. McHugh. Hope your hands and fingers are feeling better today." Well, let's say, I've got a little thing right here. So, I've got, I'm sort of like working down the hand. I've got my screwed up pinky. I've now got kind of like an angle shaved off of my thumbnail. So I've got just 3 fingers left before I've got a totally screwed up right hand. So it's working down the it's working from the extremities on into the center. Probably my driving finger will be the last one hit. We'll see. Okay. Say, not counting the epidemic, this has been a very quick semester. It has really kind of like affected our experience of time, hasn't it? It certainly feels very quick in terms of kind of like, of what needs to be done now. I'm guessing I'm not the only professor who maybe has radically changed their syllabus to meet this situation. So some of my colleagues I have disagreements with about, say, how they've changed it. I know that, say, some of them have actually increased the workload rather than decreased it. I don't. Probably they're working on the presumption that everyone now has more time to do the work, or that now they can't make, say, kind of like in-class assessments of a person's progress, so they have to kind of like create more work for them to do. But I didn't think that would be, say, I don't think that would be kind of like the wise thing to do. But say, I'm not here to call them out specifically, but I do hope that everyone is still getting something out of the class from the lectures I sent out, from the video lectures, from the live stream chats that we have like this. I do hope that we are still getting some people who are able to get, say, something out of this class. That's my main work, and particularly how often I've had to kind of like take an off day or kind of like push things back in terms of kind of like putting material out there. I certainly hope that hasn't made it too what's the word? Made it too loose and too well, kind of like I don't want things to seem like I haven't stayed committed at my end, and that will kind of like inspire you to not be committed yourself. That would be very, very, very bad, and I certainly don't want that to be the case. Okay. Just sent my second writing assignment yesterday. Did I get it? I may have gotten it, Kenneth. I'm having trouble getting into the Fullerton College email right now, and I was wondering, say, whether anyone else was experiencing a similar problem. So if you send it there, I've just not been able to see it. And if you send it to my Gmail, I just haven't gotten caught up with all of my Gmail email yet. So it may be in there. So if I don't see it, I'll let you know, Kenneth. Okay. Oh, Kenneth also has Kenneth's mother is also celebrating a birthday this month. Say, try to say, remind me a little closer to the date, and I'll wish her a happy birthday. Well, I'll wish her a happy birthday right now. Happy birthday, Kenneth's mother. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to take a very, very short bathroom break. I will be right back right back, folks. Okay. My hands used to be so weak. Okay, I am back. All right, sorry about the absence. Okay. Okay, so still don't have a lot of people here, but say we still have some people here from ethics. Does anyone have any questions about, say, the stuff we sent out about Kant? How about this? How about the categorical imperative? So I brought up the categorical imperative in the lecture that I sent out. And the categorical imperative is the tool that we're going to be using in order to figure out, say, whether what we're going to be doing is consistent with the kind of universal and objective standard for morality that Kant says is available to all of us through reason. So does anyone have any questions about, say, the categorical imperative, what it is, how it's be used, say what kind of moral laws or rules that we can get from it, whether we might run into problems with it? That's something that's going to be going out today. When I send out my lecture today for Kant, is that I'm going to be introducing problems that we might come up with in Kant's philosophy. I'm going to bring up, of course, the problem that we're going to be facing with Kant on capital punishment, because Kant says some interesting, but also maybe some difficult to accept things about capital punishment that may be inconsistent with his views on murder. Kant is going to say murder's wrong. You could never have something like a justifiable murder, but you can have a justifiable execution, according to Kant. Now, why is that? Why would one thing be justified and the other thing not be justified? So he's got something that's going to try to make a good case for it. Personally, I do not find it very convincing or compelling, but it is interesting. It is at the very least interesting, and he does bring some things to bear in the argument that should be taken very seriously. That even if on the face of it you don't like what he says, the best way to refute him would be to just look at what he says, find if there's anything inconsistent with it, or whether, say, he assumes the one idea must follow from another idea, but in fact it does not. So if you can find anything like that's a good way to do it. Or if you can maybe just come up with a scenario that he's not considered, something where we might find a conflict in trying to apply his rules, that would also be very good. Okay. So the categorical imperative. So what is a categorical imperative? The categorical imperative is a rule that we're going to use to decide, say, whether what is going to count as a moral action. It is phrased many different ways in Kant's philosophy. One of them that, one way of doing it is to say, you would will as a universal maxim that which can be can be applied as a universal law. You would will as a universal maxim that which can be applied as a universal law. That's one way of phrasing it. It put in clearer terms, which it basically comes down to say, you would only do those things that you could have everyone doing in all cases at all times. If you think about what a maxim is kind of like a rule to follow. It's a rule to live by. My maxim is, that say if someone needs help, help them. That's an example of a maxim. I can say whenever I see someone in help, I help them, because my rule for my life is to always help people in need. That's an example of a maxim. So he's saying that we're thinking up rules. We're thinking up, say, something that can apply to our actions and our behavior, and what's going to decide whether they are going to be consistently moral or not is to see whether they can be applied in all places and at all times without contradiction. Without contradiction to the principles that Kant believes he has already established regarding morals, moral behavior, moral action, moral principles, and the preconditions of morality. The fact that we are, according to Kant, say, all free, responsible, moral agents, that everyone has an intrinsic worth and value as a free, responsible, moral agent. Everyone has intrinsic moral worth. Are we still going to be receiving credit for our ethics class? Yes, you should. Absolutely, you should. Let's see. Let me see if I can get into Fulco right now. The Fulton email right now. Okay. Oh, look at that. So it looks like it's finally loading up. Okay. Let's see here, because the president of the faculty senate, Kim Orlean, my apologies if I'm not pronouncing her name correctly. She has recently sent out a message about, say, pass, no pass, and I'm going to be copy and pasting this and sending it out to students. And so what she says here is, as we near the final weeks of the semester and look forward to sharing a collective sigh of, at least for some, relief, I want to update you on the pass, no pass option for students. As you may recall, I sent out a memo regarding grade policies on April 20th. The original document stated that the pass, no pass process was being finalized and that you would be notified when it was in place. It is now good to go. So we now have pass, no pass option. Please find attached step-by-step screenshot directions for choosing the pass, no pass option. Please pass these directions on to your students. So I'll be passing this out to everyone. Remember, students must be the okay. So here's something I have been confused about. I thought that this was something that was just something that we were going to be doing as a new policy. But so it was my misunderstanding about that. It is actually an option. Remember, students must be the ones to choose this option. They have until May 23rd to do so in My Gateway. After May 23rd, they must go through the regular grade change request process. So it is clearly easier to choose the option before May 23rd. As noted in the memo, there may be reasons that taking a pass, no pass may not be the best choice for some students. If a student has questions regarding whether the pass, no pass option may affect their transfer goals, program eligibility, etc., please recommend that they speak to a counselor. Finally, I urge you, that's me, the instructor, to communicate with your students about their grades in the course. The more informed students are about their standing in your course, the more informed their decisions regarding the pass, no pass, as well as EW. Although I realize that computing and then communicating final course grades to students before May 23rd may prove difficult for some faculty, doing so will arm students with the best and most clear, comprehensive information to help their decision-making process. Okay, so that's the thing right now. So you can, I guess, still get a letter grade if you want, or just do pass, no pass for the class. So remember what a pass is. A pass is C or above. So if you are dealing with what looks like maybe getting a C in the course, you still have the option of taking the pass on there. So this was my misunderstanding, is that I thought that we were just doing this as a universal policy for the courses. So my apologies about that. My apologies if that was discouraging in any way or confusing. And I know some people had some questions about their transfer grade. So this finally clears that up, is that this is an option for you to choose between now and May 23rd, whether you want that. So we now have that in place, and I'll be sending that email from the president of the Senate of the Faculty Senate out to everyone, including an invitation for you to find out what your current grade standing is with me. Now, that was something I was having a good deal of difficulty doing this last week, thanks to the fact that I still had a lot of midterms and assignments to grade. That's been largely taken care of now. Some people are still, because they needed more time, some people are still sending in their second writing assignments to me, because they asked me if they could, and I said yes. So once those things are taken care of, I will have a better means available for doing that. But I can tell you all right now that everyone turning in work, and everyone who's been turning in work, turning in quizzes, turning in, say, the midterm, and those kind of things, everyone doing that has, say, a pass for this class. The only people who do not have a pass for this class right now are the people who have not turned in anything. As long as you have been turning in work for this class, you will get at least a pass for this class. So, a C or above. So it's your choice. If you find out what's going on with me, and you want to choose a pass for the grade, because that's what it looks like you're going to get. If it's just around a C, you will get a pass. You will be able to move on from the course. And if you choose to have a letter grade, because that will give maybe a clearer indication in transfer and so forth, for transcripts and so forth, what you did, then you will get that instead. My understanding was that, say, if you chose to do the pass, then your grade point average would still kind of like reflect whatever kind of like actual letter grade that you would have gotten for the course. And that was my understanding. I could be wrong about that, but it would still show that you did a sufficient enough job to pass the course. But my guess is now that that is not the case. So this is new stuff for me. So I apologize if I send out any misinformation or confuse anyone about that. Okay. So let me know if you have any questions about that. Let me know if you have any questions or concern about, say, the pass, no pass option. And it is an option. So I do need to make sure that everyone's clear on that. Okay. And anything at all, send me an email about that. Okay. So we've got a while yet to get all of these things finalized and clear up. But so even though it's coming down our way, we still have plenty of time to make sure that everyone who has been doing the work, you guys, will get, say, the best thing for you for moving on from this very, very difficult semester. That's really what we want you to do at this point. You get something you deserve still, because if you've turned in nothing, you will not get a pass at all. But if you have been turning in things, I will guarantee at least a pass on it. If you've been turning in stuff, I'll guarantee at least a pass. At least a C or above. A C or above if you've been turning in the work, if you've been turning in papers, if you've been turning in tests, and so on. You should get at least a C or above. So that hopefully is encouraging. And that will hopefully encourage you to choose the pass option, if you think that will be the best for you, or to receive the letter grade option, if you think that will be the right thing for you. Okay. Okay, Kenneth has a question about Kant. Kant says that the imperative is that if the action benefits a vast majority of people, then it's a moral thing, right? No. That would be the case if we were talking about the utilitarians. The utilitarians were consequentialists. They were the ones who were asking, say, whether an action would benefit the greatest number of people. When Kant is talking about, say, it would be moral if we could have everyone doing it in all places at all times, he's talking about it as a hypothetical situation. That you try to imagine, say, can everyone in all places and all times do this? And by doing it, they would not contradict the rules, the principles, the obligations, the preconditions that we get from practical reason. He's not talking about whether it will benefit anyone, and he is not talking about whether it's going to make anyone happy. And he's not saying the majority. He's saying everyone, without exception. Not the majority, not, the most people that we could possibly get. He's talking about everyone. And he's not talking about, say, whether it would be making them happy or benefiting them. He's talking about whether, if everyone did it, would we still be able to live morally without contradiction? Will we still be able to act as free moral agents without contradiction? For instance, if you were to say lying is okay sometimes, that would be saying that lying is good conditionally. You would say that lying is an okay thing to do on some occasions. Some occasions it's appropriate to lie. Some occasions it is not appropriate to lie. That's how we often think about lying. When you tell a kid there's Santa Claus, that Santa Claus is going to bring them presents if they are good throughout the year. Are you telling that kid the truth about what's going to happen? Are you even telling that kid the truth about, say, what would happen if they were to behave themselves? Unless you really believe that there is a Santa Claus yourself, you are lying to that kid. But you justify that lie in a lot of different ways. You say, well, the kid doesn't understand, say, the point, say, of why they have to be, say, a well-behaved person. So, this is something that I am doing for the sake of their own development. But you can also say, I would lie to someone who's not a child. I would lie to a grown adult, maybe to spare their feelings. If you were to ask them, say, what do you think about, say, the song I just wrote? And he says, oh, it's great. Even if you thought it stunk, you would still say that was a great song. Even though you'd say, oh, that song's even though if you told them the truth, they'd say, oh, that song was a stinker. You do that because you would say, I don't want to offend them. I don't want to hurt their feelings, and so on. But on other occasions, you would say it's wrong to lie. It's wrong to lie. It is wrong to deceive people. It's wrong to tell people something that's not true for the sake of your own personal gain, maybe. Maybe if you say, well, if I'm lying for the sake of that other person, that's an okay thing. If I'm lying for the sake of myself, that's an all right thing. Kant is going to say that's probably what people are going to do, but that is not a secure basis for morality. To just decide things on whether they seem appropriate to the moment for several reasons. One of which is that you never know whether, say, that is actually going to have a good consequence or not. And even when we say that we're doing it for the sake of the other person, it's like saying that we are choosing for them what the best thing is. The best thing for them is to be in ignorance. The best thing for them is to act without full knowledge of what we think is true or what we think is correct. Kant is going to say that's using people as a means to an end. Even if we genuinely are not doing it just for the sake of ourselves, if we genuinely want to spare someone's feelings, we don't want to hurt their feelings, we are still acting for the sake of something that is treating them as a means to an end. We're still treating them as if they would not be able to handle the situation adequately. They would not say that they do not deserve, that they cannot handle it, they do not deserve it, we treat them as if they are not capable, capable as free, reasonable, moral people to handle the situation. So we're turning them into something where we kind of like are already we think we've already figured them out as something, as kind of like, someone who is going to have this reaction. And if they have this reaction, that's a bad thing. We don't want them to have that reaction, not just for ourselves, but for them too. We don't want them to feel hurt. We don't want them to feel upset and so on. So Kant is going to say that is assuming knowledge of the future that we do not have, including assuming that what they are is kind of like an expectation of a certain kind of person, not just a moral, free person who can figure things out on their own and do things responsibly, act responsibly for themselves, but are just kind of like this idea of a person, an idea of a person that would react this way, an idea of a person that would behave this way, and not someone that will behave and react according to their own free will. Not the idea I've put on them, but according to their own free will. So Kant is going to say, is it ever okay to lie? And not ask yourself, is it okay to lie conditionally for the reasons that we just talked about? Because you don't know the future, and when you assume to know what's best for that person, based on a possible outcome, you are treating that person as a means to an end. And you are treating that person as something that is not inherently free and rational in and of themselves. So when you use conditional excuses to excuse lying, that's not going to work for Kant. That's not going to work for Kant as a basis for moral action. So can you say, let's think about, say, an unconditional situation of lying. Let's not think about, say, lying as something that is just okay now and then, because that would make it conditional, and we have no good basis for making that a standard for moral behavior, says Kant. Instead, let's ask, can we will, as a universal maxim, lying is okay to do in all places at all times? Imagine a world where everyone lied. Everything everyone ever said to anyone else was a lie. Can that be a world in which people would be able to live as rational, free agents? Would it be a world where anyone would be treated as a rational, free agent? And Kant's answer is no. Because if everyone lied all the time to everyone, no matter what their rationale was, we would always be treating people as a means to an end. We'd be treating people as a means to end just to get, something that we expect or want out of them. Even if we might have noble intentions, even if we are well-intentioned to do so, we are not having the right sort of intentions, according to Kant. The right sort of intention is the intention that follows the goodwill which is looking for things that do not have to do with my own personal likes and dislikes, but has to do with something beyond my own personal likes and dislikes, something transcendent of that, something that would have to apply not just to me, but to everyone. So when we apply the categorical imperative and ask ourselves, is this something that people can do in all places at all times and not violate the rules that we get from reason? Then, according to Kant, we are fulfilling the goodwill. We are acting in such a way where our intentions follow the path of the goodwill. So, Kant's case, lying is not moral. It is not moral to ever lie. Because when we lie, we treat people as a means to an end, and that is acting as if a person is not a unique, autonomous, free, responsible individual, but is something that is good primarily because they would meet up to an expectation that I would have, or desire that I would have, or maybe even a prejudice that I would have regarding them. You say something like, "Oh, well, I said that it was a good song, even though I thought it was a bad song, because I know that you can't handle things very well. I know you can't handle criticism very well, so I lied to you." That, according to Kant, is denying a person their freedom. It's denying a person their freedom because it's denying them their capability of acting for themselves, not acting according to an expectation that we have for them. Okay, and ask yourself, is it ever okay to steal? Well, oftentimes you want to say certain conditions, it is okay to steal. Look at Robin Hood. Robin Hood steals from the rich and gives to the poor, steals from those who are taking away the liberties and properties of others and redistributing them. So we could say Robin Hood had good reasons behind him, had good maybe noble intentions behind them. Kant is going to say, okay, that's a conditional good, because we're saying that it's good if it happens there. It's good to rob from the rich to give to the poor, not good to rob from the poor to give to the rich. So robbing is, justifiable thievery is a conditional good. But can we imagine a world in which it is right for everyone to steal from everyone at all times? Would we be capable of living as free, rational human beings if everyone robbed from each other in all places, all times? And would we be in a world where people would be treated as free, rational, moral agents and not means to an end if everyone just robbed from everyone at all times? Well, if you rob from someone, what you're doing is you're saying that what you have right there is something that can be better used somewhere else. You say that you're not using your property quite as well as I would use your property, so I'm taking it. When you take something from someone, you're treating them as, say, something that can fulfill this kind of like sense of properly distributed property. You're treating them as kind of like as a resource of how to get things, of where to get things from. You're treating them as a storehouse. What you are is that person who has things that I want, and I will take from them. even if we are treating them as, like a wicked rich person, a wicked rich prince or something like that, who has taken everything that from the poor that does not belong to him. We are treating them as a storehouse to get things from. In this case, maybe to get, say, what ought to be redistributed to other people. Now, Kant is not going to say that Kant is not going to say, well, that means that the powerful are right to rob from the poor. He's not saying that. He's saying, in general, robbery would be an unethical thing to do, because we cannot imagine a world in which everyone robbed from each other at all places at all times and still have it a world full of people who are able to be rational and free and are treated as rational and free. So the ideal condition is equality for Kant. The ideal condition is equality and justice, and where no one requires to rob from everyone. Because in that situation of the legendary story of Robin Hood, the people being robbed by the rich are suffering to the point where they are no longer able to act as rational free agents. So it's an injustice all around, according to Kant. Okay, well, how do we solve things then? Say, how do we get things in a proper situation? Well, Kant's a little vague about that, and he had to be, because as I said in another video, he lived under a despot. He lived under an absolute monarch. He lived under the King of Prussia, and the King of Prussia would not tolerate any kind of like pro-revolutionary behavior. But Kant's teachings, Kant's philosophy was taken up by a lot of people who said this is a pretty good template for a revolution. This idea that say that things are not distributed properly, or in a kind of a situation of true equality. We are not dealing with a condition of equality right here. We're dealing with a very lopsided and unfair situation where the law favors, say, the robbing of the weak for the sake of fulfilling the prerogatives of the powerful. So, while Kant himself did not advocate revolution, many of his followers did. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question, Kenneth. So remember, it's never about the majority; it's about everyone. It's not about, say, enough people, which was what the case was for the utilitarians. It's about all people, and it's not about, say, what's benefiting them. It's not about, say, whether it makes them feel good, makes them feel like they're living at their optimum, or anything like that. It's about what will treat people in a manner which they deserve. And everyone deserves to be treated with respect for them as rational people who can make their own responsible decisions. That's the key thing for Kant. And that will be the key thing when it comes to punishment for people as well, as we'll see in the upcoming lecture. There was something else I wanted to bring up in all of this, and all the ramble I've been going on with Kant. But what was it? Okay, so let's do murdering people. So, is there a situation in which it is justifiable to take someone's life? Is there a situation where it is, say, okay to kill someone? Well, we might say it's okay to kill someone who's been, say, causing a lot of people a lot of harm. We might look at, say, certain actions as deserving of death as punishment. Gabriel says self-defense. According to Kant, say, that means that we are looking at killing someone conditionally. We're saying that it's okay in certain situations, but not okay in other situations. We say that it's good here, but not good there. So we're not saying that killing someone is good unconditionally. But what can adequately justify even the good things, even kind of like, killing someone for the sake of self-defense or for the sake of defending other people. What could justify that? Alex Irwin says, "Hello, Professor. Hope all is going well. Things are going better. Yeah. It was a rough day yesterday, but we're back in the saddle again, and hopefully, I can get everything that needs to go out to everyone today. There will be an email going out about, say, pass, no pass. It turns out that I was wrong. It's an option. It's an option for the student to choose whether they are doing pass, no pass. I thought that this was just something that we would all be doing just as a policy, that we'd be doing pass and no pass instead of letter grades. Turns out it's going to be an option for the student to choose whether it's going to be pass, no pass. This is something that was just cleared up for me very recently. So I'll be sending an email about that today. Okay. So I hope all is going well with you, Alex. Please let us know. And I was just talking about, say, murder. Everyone's favorite topic, murder, killing someone. And, we don't often call killing someone for self-defense murder. We call that maybe justifiable homicide or call it manslaughter. Got a lot of different terms that we could apply to it. But can it ever be adequately justified in the sense of kind of like a universal standard, according to Kant? And the answer for Kant is going to be no. It's going to be no, because that we would always just talk about, say, whether it was kind of like right or wrong to do it in terms of kind of like a matter of like personal benefit, or an assumption about the future, or an assumption about, say, that person as something that would make them other than a rational free agent. For instance, and this is something I'm going to bring up in a future lecture. Actually, do I have it in the one going out today? I don't remember. This is a classic problematic situation for Kant. So murder is never okay for Kant, because imagine a world in which everyone was allowed to kill each other in all places at all times. Imagine that. Everyone was killing each other because it's universally okay for them to do so. Kant is going to say that can't work. That can't work. No, everyone would just be treating someone as a means to an end, and no one will be able to live their life as a free, rational person, if that were the case. Okay, so murders, killing someone, that's ruled out as, say, something that's justifiable. But as I said, execution, killing someone as a punishment, that's different for Kant. That's a different situation, apparently. So it's tricky. It's very tricky, and I don't think Kant adequately resolves the problem he set up for himself by saying that, say, murder is bad, but punishment by execution is good as long as it is that you are actually punishing someone who did in fact commit a murder. Tim says weird. Yes, it is weird. Okay, but imagine this situation. You're at home. You hear pounding at the door. You open up the door, and there's your best friend. Your best friend says, "You gotta hide me. There's someone with an axe. Someone with an axe is after me. They're trying to kill me. It's a crazy person. I don't know why they want to kill me, but they want to kill me. They want to chop me up with an axe. You gotta hide me. They are right on my tail. They are just like like a block away from me. I gotta hide. You gotta hide me." So you bring your friend in, and it says, "Go down in the basement. Go hide down there." So your friend goes hide for their own safety down in your basement, or somewhere out of sight, somewhere hopefully safe from people this person who wants to harm them. You think maybe all is well now. You hear another knock at the door, and you open it up. And there's a big, crazy guy there with an axe. And he says, "I know your best friend's here. I know this is where he would run to hide. Tell me where he is." What do you do? What do you do in that situation? Do you tell that person where your friend is? Because after all, he did ask you. He did ask you, tell me where your friend is. Do you lie to that person? Do you say, well, I don't know, he didn't come by this way. It's odd that he passed by my house, but that's what he did. Because he didn't come over here. What do you do? Is that a justifiable situation to lie? Now, of course, those aren't your only options. You don't have to say anything at all to the person and shut the door and bar it. But this was actually a problem that someone sent to Kant. A French philosopher by the name of Benjamin Constant sent this problem to Kant. And both Constant and Kant agreed that, not responding to the person is an option, but they had to make it as problematic of a situation as they could. So they said, let's assume that you have to answer that person. What do? Is it okay to lie? Or would you have to tell the truth about where that person is? Alex proposes, say that I know where he is, but don't tell him where he is. Okay, that was something that they considered too. Is it okay to say that you know without telling him? And say again, they said that we're going to try to make this a hard situation, as hard as we can for the problem. So we're going to imagine that even though that is a viable option, we're going to imagine that you have to either tell that person where your friend is, or tell them a lie. Those are the two options that Constant and Kant agreed on, just to make it as hard of a problem as they could. Tim says, would that still be a lie by omission? I think it would be a lie by omission if you I think it'd be a lie by omission if you say, well, he's somewhere. He's somewhere. It would be a lie. It would be a lie by omission, I think, if you made it seem like you knew less than you did. If you made it seem like you actually know less than you actually know. If you gave them details like, well, he's got to be somewhere. He's got to be around someplace, I guess. To the best of my knowledge, he might not be down here. I don't know. Say that would be a lie by omission if you make it seem like you know less than you actually do. That's my understanding of it. Yes, Kant says, here's Kant's response to the problem. Alex says, didn't Kant say that he would do it? I think I heard the story. And yeah, Kant's response is that you tell that person, if we only have two options, the option is to tell a lie or to tell them where that person is, where your best friend is to be found. Kant says, tell that person where your friend is to be found. Now, why? Why did Kant say that was the right thing to do? Why did Kant say that was the right thing to do, to tell that person with an axe, with a crazed, wild look in their eye, that it was all right? Tell that person with a crazed look in their eye that they knew where to find your friend. Why would that be a bad thing, to lie to that person? Why would it be a good thing to tell them where that person is? Why is that, according to Kant? And remember, Kant is not himself a crazy person. Kant knows that in all probability, you would probably tell that person a lie or do some of the other things that you guys suggested as an option. Tell them nothing at all, fight them, do all kinds of things, rather than, say, make it easier for that person to get your friend. So Kant says that even if you had just those two alternatives of lying or telling that person the exact truth, then in all probability you would tell them a lie. And Kant says that's just how things are. And Kant is not saying that he would be unhappy if everything turned out to be all right. He's Kant is not against good consequences. Kant is against using good consequences as a basis for ethical action. That's what he's against. He's not against people being happy. He's not against people getting what they want, so far as they deserve what they get. He is not against people enjoying themselves. He is not against feeling good. He's only against using that as a basis for moral thinking and for moral action. So he says, Kant says, if you'll do what you do, you're a free person, and you choose what you think is best. But if you want to be consistently moral, if you want to actually hold up your actions to an actual objective moral standard, you do not lie to that crazy person with an axe, and you tell them where to find your friend. Okay, so let's see what you guys say. Okay. Alex says, he said that once you tell them where they are, number one, you haven't broken any moral rule. And number two, once you've played your part, that's the end of it. You're not liable for what happens next. That's true to an extent. Yes, that is true to an extent. You are still responsible for your actions, but also that other person is responsible for their actions too. Let's see what Tim says. Tim say they might not be where you thought you were, or your lie might lead them to where your friend was anyways. That's the thing too. Say, what if they got out of your basement? They went down to the basement, they heard the knock on the door, and they got scared and ran through, broke through a window. That little window at the close to the ceiling in the basement. They squeezed through that window and they started running down the street behind the house. And what if you told that murderer, well, he's not here, but I saw him run through my yard. He's running down the street behind my house. Go look over there. So it's still possible that your lie would actually put your friend in the same danger as if you told him the truth of where to find him, and he might not be there. So both of you, both Alex and Tim, bring up very good things that Kant said. This is actually fine what Kant said. Remember, Kant is warning us all about the limitations of our knowledge. One of the reasons why we can't say with certainty that, it was okay for me to lie to you because I know what your response would have been, is because we don't know what a person's response would be. We don't know the future. And this is true whether you agree with Kant or not. You don't know the future. You've got kind of like a sense of likelihoods and whatnot, but you don't know things that have not happened. You guess at them. Even if what you guessed at did happen, you didn't know that it would happen with certainty. You just guessed correctly. So you would be guessing when it comes to kind of like what that person's action would be. By telling them the truth of where that person is, you are admitting that you don't know what that person would be. You could tell them the truth, and you don't know what the consequence is going to be from that. It's possible that that person will suddenly kind of like lose all of their anger. He says, well, I got this far, but it just doesn't seem worth it any longer. They have their own responsibility. They have their own freedom to act, and to act according to their own kind of like moral guidance. So you don't know what the consequence of the action is going to be by telling them the truth. It could be that they will just give up and say, well, now I won't do that. And to Alex's point, even if they do follow through on their intentions of attacking your friend, say that is still their responsibility. Now it's your responsibility to maybe throw that guy to the ground, because it's not a contradiction to a moral law to stop people from doing things that are harmful, to stop people from committing a heinous crime. That is not a contradiction to a moral rule. As a matter of fact, can you say, can you universalize as a maxim that I will not stop or punish people from doing things that are wrong. I will just let things that are wrong just happen all the time. Well, what kind of a situation do we wind up with that when it comes to kind of like a universal freedom and responsibility? That's denying, say, the fact that you have, say, the power to be responsible for what comes out of your own actions and the actions of others. Okay. And also, to Tim's point, you don't know what the consequences would be of either lying or telling the truth. If you lie, you don't know what the consequences will be of that. And if you tell the truth, you don't know what the consequences will be back. So the consequences can't tell you which of them is the right thing to do, according to Kant. If we want to find out, say, that I want to know what is the right thing to do based on a universal principle alone, this will guarantee that it will be moral, according to Kant. We might not like the results, but it's never about what we like. Again, Kant is not a consequentialist. He doesn't want you to be unhappy. He doesn't want you to lose your best friend. But being unhappy and losing your best friend, as far as Kant is concerned, is not an argument against his moral philosophy. That's just how the world works sometimes. Okay. All right. A little bit of water right here. And I got to take one more bathroom break. I'm drinking a lot of water, and in consequence, I have to go relieve myself of a lot of water. So I'll be right back. Best of my knowledge, as far as I know, to the best of my knowledge. Okay, I am back. Okay, so I think it is time to move into discussions for critical thinking. So who do we have here from critical thinking? Gabriel, and let's see here. Who else do we have right here? We've got Alex Abeta. Alex Abeta, is it pronounced Abeta? Did I get it correctly? How else would it be apart from Abeta? So please let me know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But say for Alex Abeta, Alexandria Abeta, and for Gabriel Flores, those are the two students from my critical thinking class that I'm aware of right now. But if anyone else, if it's like Alex Irwin or Tim or Kenneth, has any questions about ethics, please let me know. I'm still open to answering that. It's just that this is kind of like the hour that I'm supposed to have kind of like open for critical thinking questions. Okay, and if there's any questions about, say, the group project or something like that, like what are you working on right now as a topic? I'd be very, very interested in finding out what you guys are writing on as a topic right now. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Kenneth, let's see here. What would Kant say about lying in the case of lying to hide the Jews from the Nazis? Well, again, and that's I'm saying good for you, Kenneth, for making this as hard as we can for Kant, because that's what we have to do. But Kant's response is going to say, "Oh, hey, Abdullah's here. Hello, hello. Good. I'm sorry. It's Muhammad Abdullah. So I'm sorry. I keep calling you Abdullah because that's the first name that comes up, but it's Muhammad Abdullah. So I apologize, Muhammad. Yeah, but everything's going okay. I hope things are going okay for you too, Muhammad. This is a pretty rollicking time that we're having right now. Abdullah says Abdullah is fine. I actually prefer Abdullah. Hope you are well and getting the rest you need. Thank you. I finally did. Say after I sent out the message to everyone the other day. Actually, after I finished eating the sandwich, which cost me, say, an angle off of my thumb. It was, say, actually one of the best sandwiches I've ever had in my entire life. After I had that sandwich, then I took a very, very long nap and woke up feeling very refreshed. I would have I really would have gotten all the things done I intended to do that day had it not been the fact I woke up at 6 p.m. after the nap. So I'm doing much better right now. Much better. I'll get everything out that I said that I would get out today. So things are going fine. Okay. Alex says, you're saying it right. Sometimes the T sounds more like a D when it's more casual, like a beta. Okay. A beta or a beta, that's okay. All right, very good. Thank you for letting me know. That was something I was worried about. Okay. Going back to Ken's question, which is very good. Kant is going to say that even if we're dealing with Nazis, those Nazis are still human beings. And as human beings, they deserve to be treated as free, responsible, moral agents. Now, you may remember that weird thing I said several months ago, where I said, just in terms of logic, say a person would not necessarily be a bad president even if they were a Satanist. And that is because, say, even if they are a Satanist, say, it's still not inconsistent for them to say, well, that whole Satanism thing, that was a bit of a laugh, but I'm not basing my actions, my ideas off of that any longer. And I'm gonna do something else apart from being a Satanist. And the same deal with a Nazi. A Nazi could also say, oh, so that's where the Jews are going to be found. Oh, suddenly I realize to say what I'm doing is wrong. Suddenly I realize that it's wrong to be a Nazi. It's wrong to persecute people for the sake of some stupid, silly idea of like there being a master race or inferior racers, and totalitarian, fascistic governments are just wrong. I suddenly realize this, or maybe it doesn't just kind of like sweep over them like that, but maybe they just say just kind of like a vague sense that what they're doing is wrong, and they just don't want to do it. They just won't do it at that point. So yeah, even at that point, the likelihood is that you will lie to protect the Jews. And in terms of kind of like thinking things about conditional goods, that would be an all right thing to do. But if we are talking about, say, a morality based off of what Kant is going to say an unconditional standard, then Kant is going to say that if you only have the two options, and in reality you do have more than two options. In reality, you do have more than two options. But just like with when he was in conversation with Benjamin Constant, we're going to make the problem as hard as we can and act as if we only have the two options. And if we're acting as if you only have the two options of lying or telling the truth, then you tell the truth, according to Kant. You tell the truth. You treat even a Nazi as a free, responsible human being who may decide that what they're doing is wrong. After you tell them the truth, you still have the responsibility of maybe stopping them as best you can. But if you want to act morally, says Kant, according to a objective, universal standard that does not just apply to the particular situation, but applies to everyone, then you tell the Nazis the truth. And you could still ask this question, though. Wouldn't that be treating your best friend, or in this case, maybe the Jews that you were supposed to be protecting, as a means to an end? Because now their lives are, the means for you to be truthful. Kant is going to say, no, I am not doing that, because, again, say, if I treat the axe-wielding maniac or the Nazi as a free, responsible person, responsible for their own actions, this also guarantees that your actions are just as valuable as they are, universally. Say, Kant is not about exceptionalism in any sense. It's not about, say, one set of people's lives being more exceptional than another person's life. Each person's rights, liberties, their inherent moral worth, absolutely equal. And that goes for your friend in the basement and also the Jewish people you would hide in the attic. Now, again, this sounds very pie in the sky. And I agree with you. If I were in that kind of situation, I would probably lie, or I would take out my Luger and probably try to fight those Nazis off while the Jewish people I'm trying to protect escape. That's probably what I would do. And I think Kant would say 99 times out of 100, or 999,999 times out of a million, say that's what most people would do. But that does not make it the moral choice, according to Kant. And that's very, very, very difficult to agree with. And I think for good reason. Number one, because Kant could be wrong in his moral philosophy. Moral philosophy might not be able to be adequately, not just in terms of its consequences, but might not be adequately something that we can base off of a standard that doesn't take other things into consideration. The fact that we are sometimes dealing with extraordinary situations. That in some instances we are dealing with cases where we do need to treat it as a real human emergency, even if it doesn't necessarily commit us always to epistemic hubris to make guesses about what is going to happen. A guess doesn't have to be a claim to a knowledge. If I say, instead of saying I know what you're going to do, I say I've got good reasons to guess what you are going to, that's different. That is not committing oneself to the kind of hubris of believing that you will have to be something that is going to meet my expectations. That is still allowing the possibility that you would do something different than my expectations. To say, this is not something I know, but this is something I guess. So I think that's a flaw in Kant's philosophy. Well, anyway, so that's getting away from Abdullah right here. Abdullah's here. Abdullah, do you have any questions or concerns or any comments to make regarding, say, the stuff that we're doing in critical thinking right now, with the stuff on the fallacies, or about the group project that everyone should still be working on? Anything that you want to talk about regarding that? I'm very, very, very happy to answer anything I can about that. Okay, anything at all? Any other questions? I'd be very, very happy to work on. Okay. By the way, folks, we talked sometime, say in our class, we were talking about, say, the argument from authority fallacy, say that something is not necessarily true simply based on the person saying it. Now, again, say when you make a kind of like guess that something can be true because you might figure, well, the person is more privy to certain kinds of information, they have greater access to the information than I do. Say it's okay to follow along with what they say as long as you do not say they have to be right because of who they are. That they are not right just because they are an authority, but they might be right. They are probably right based on, say, their expertise, their experiences, and so on. Based on the fact that, say, that you might not have as much experience and information as they do to make a kind of informed decision. That's why on a ship, there's one captain of the ship. You don't have tons of people making decisions for the entire ship all the time. It's that captain, and that captain is presumably the most experienced seaman on the ship. You sometimes have bad captains, but for the sake of things running as smoothly as you can at sea, you will defer to that captain as best you can. Maybe a mutiny would be ordered if they're truly off their rocker, or if they are truly a bad captain. You do have things where if a captain shows themselves to be kind of like constitutionally unfit to be in charge of a vessel, that the officers are morally obliged to kind of like wrest control away from them if they are going to be endangering the lives of everyone else on the ship. So what I'm getting to is this, that I don't think any of us in our classes, unless you are leading a life that I am not I'm not aware of, any of us has firsthand knowledge. Any of us have firsthand knowledge that, direct experience of where the COVID-19 virus came from. We did not see it happen. We were not there when it happened. We cannot report back on, say, where it came about and why. We are reliant, however, on other people who were there, passing the information on, passing it on to people who might be able to because of their experience and expertise, make better informed analyses and draw better informed conclusions than we would. Since we are not there, we did not see what happened. So what I'm saying is I trust the intelligence agencies here in the United States over the president. Say the medical agencies, the intelligence agencies here in the United States, I trust them over the president when it comes to, say, where did the virus come from? This was an accidental, natural occurrence. It's just, a mutation, as often happens. It's a novel instance of this thing coming about in nature, and it happened strictly by accident, by happenstance. We have no reliable information coming through reliable sources to suggest that the disease was produced in a laboratory. But we have a lot to go on of where it came from in Wuhan, China, and it was not a lab. It was an accidental occurrence that, popped up, and all of a sudden the government, the government of China steps in to make sure that it is just as contained as they can in Wuhan, which they didn't do quite so fast or with quite as much transparency as we would like them to have done so. But when it did happen, it did happen. I trust the intelligence agencies about, say, where this virus came from, not the president. The president, I believe, I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that he is saying something to get popular support back on his side right now, because it is not there right now apart from those who, love the president to begin with. So that is what we're dealing with right now, is I think that the president is telling us a fib, a fabrication, for the sake of his own political future. It is not for the sake of our safety, and it is not for the sake of of there being any kind of like a real justice when it comes to kind of like, of punishing people responsible for these things going on. It is actually kind of like trying to absolve himself of responsibilities of not handling the virus as promptly as he could have, or as well as he could have. So that's what I believe. So I'm using this as an illustration of when it comes to kind of like, listening to authority. I think we have got better reasons to listen to the people on the field than a person who says, I've got good proof that there is evidence this was made in China. Well, why now and not earlier? Why doesn't anyone else seem to know about this? Why is it only you? Why can't you tell us, say, where the sources are coming from? Why is it a secret? All of these things. And if it were true, you would think that this would be, say something that the whole world will be able to, with their own resources in the intelligence community, find some way of confirming, or kind of like jump on and say, hey, we're suffering too. That's a bad thing you did, China. That's because that I do not believe that they are getting this miraculous source of information that the president's getting it from either. They, along with pretty much everyone else, their intelligence is telling them this was an accidental occurrence that occurred in a lab. That did not occur in a lab. It occurred, say, accidentally, and that's that. That is that. So, I would say that we are dealing with a situation where this is if you want to say a political ploy, Trump loves saying, well, you're politicizing the situation. No, sir. You are trying to make the situation fit to your own needs and circumstance. That's a political move. Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry for rambling on as I have about, say, say politics and Trump and so forth. But I do think it's something that needs to be said right now, because I think it is dangerously irresponsible that try to foment some kind of animus against another country for the sake of, as it appears to me, say, political expediency, rather than say anything that seems to be at all based on any solid bit of evidence. Now, I can be wrong, of course, and who knows? Maybe he'll pull something out of a hat that will show just how wrong I am. But until then, I'm going on, say, what a lot of people who have a lot of expertise and a lot of experience and a better kind of like way of handling the situation than I do have been saying. Now, does that mean that they are necessarily right? No. Does that mean I'm necessarily right to listen to them? No. But it's as good as we can do with what we've got. It's as good as what we can do is to go on what we've got available to us. All right. Alex says, it's nice to talk to you about Kong. You got to go now. Hope you are having a nice day and stay healthy and safe. I hope you do too, Alex. Thank you very, very much for participating in the chat. Okay. So, any question at all about critical thinking? Okay. Gabriel. I always thought that the virus came from a laboratory in China. This is what I've always heard. This has been a persistent rumor, Gabriel, but there has been no good, solid bit of evidence that that is the case. This has been a persistent rumor, but there's never been a rumor that has found any kind of confirmation from the intelligence community. From, say, of people saying, where did this virus come from? There is no evidence whatsoever to say that this has happened in the lab, but there is a lot of evidence to suggest that this is, say, an accidental occurrence that happened in Wuhan, China. That it was not anything that anyone planned on happening. So this is not a conspiracy, is what I'm saying, at least on China's part. It's not a conspiracy to create this thing to endanger the world and to destabilize the United States. No, this is not something that was created in a laboratory. the best resources that we have are indicating this. So, be very careful of where you're getting your information, because, like Gabriel said, this is something that people have been saying for a while now, and it's oftentimes I've seen as kind of like as a way of perpetuating some kind of conspiracy against the United States, that China's trying to destabilize us economically with a virus. It's a pretty kind of like messy way of going about it. It's not really anything that you can actually kind of like control when you set these things in motion. It's not anything that you can really kind of like adequately control, because we could have done better. we could have done better in its spread and harm here in the United States. We knew about this thing coming in February, a long time ago, before we ever actually kind of started these measures of social distancing and lockdowns and quarantines and so forth. We knew it was coming, and we did nothing about it. Did they factor that in? It's an awful big risk. It's an awful big risk. Okay. I feel like that mindset promotes or encourages xenophobia in the American people. It does. It does. And I think that might be the point. The point is to rally the people around someone other than whoever might actually be responsible for how bad things have gotten around here, or the fact that they have no control, seemingly, on kind of like stabilizing the economy here again, or getting the stock market back up again, or getting having the chutzpah to kind of like putting in place programs of economic relief like we did in the New Deal. Where whether or not it kind of like brings the market back up to where it was, just or kind of like just makes joblessness go away, the kind of morale benefit it would be just really good. So I'm not seeing anything like that, but it does play into exactly what you're talking about, Alex, is that they're trying to create a kind of like situation where we would look to someone as the enemy. We look to someone as the enemy. We look to someone as being responsible. Whereas in this case right now, the only responsibility that we can find is the responsibility of our own leaders in adequately preparing us for this and adequately following through on their promises to keep us safe. The promises they made regarding, say, supplies, testings, and so on, support for the decisions of local governments to, say, shut down, and so on. Say, those are the things that could have been followed through, but were not followed through on. Okay. All right. So Gabriel, say this has been a persistent rumor, but that's really all it is right now. It is a rumor. A rumor that it has been taken up by, say, a pretty xenophobic and pretty scary kind of program here in America to create a kind of fantastical conspiracy against the United States. One that is just beggars credulity. Kind of like to imagine, let's say, of people doing something like that and expecting it to work out in their favor. This was not a laboratory creation. We've got no good evidence on that. Okay, but we'll see. I could be wrong, but right now I am pretty certain that I'm right. I'm pretty certain about that. So we'll see. Okay, so perhaps we should once again call it early this time. We seem to be losing participants. If anyone else has any comments or questions, please give it to me soon. Please give it to me soon. Okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out the new lectures, and I'll be sending out videos. And what I'm going to try to do in the video is I'm going to try to combine, say, the lecture that I sent out on Tuesday with the lecture I'm sending out today. So the video lectures, so the video lecture for critical thinking and the video lecture for ethics will cover both lectures 18 and 19. So lecture 18 and 19 for critical thinking, lecture 18 and 19 for ethics. So those are what's going to be going out today, and I will be sending out the email that was sent to all of us by the president of the faculty senate, explaining the situation regarding pass no pass. So the situation is that it is optional. I was wrong in saying this was going to be kind of like what we were all just going to be doing as a default. It's going to be an option for the students. The option is that if you are getting if you are just getting a passing grade, which is a C or above, you have the option of doing pass, no pass. Okay, so see you on Tuesday, Professor, and have a good weekend and a good May 4th. And you as well. I'm not a Star Wars person, but may the 4th be with you too. Yeah, say why not? Why not? Okay, so take care of yourself, Gabriel, and I think we'll call it there. So everyone have a splendid weekend. Be safe, be well, and be seeing you.